Okay, I hope we're live. I hope we're on the right one. We are live. I just hope we're on the right thing.
In the words of our friend Brad Barton,
Technical difficulties. I'm not sure what's going on with our setup, but it keeps wanting to start a new live stream, and I don't understand. I'm going to have to figure it out. So you may see me pop up live every now and then just while I'm trying to figure things out. You know, just ignore me. Anyway.
Okay, I'm Mark.
And I'm Betty. And together we are the pastors too. He's got me started doing that. Anyway, and we are back with a new episode and a bit of a new look. Let me see. We're trying something new in the studio, which meant reorganizing half the house.
The house?
Well, it felt like it.
Maybe half the studio.
Yeah, well, that's true. You don't want to see what's over there.
You're pointing this way.
It doesn't. It doesn't matter. It's mirrored on our screen. Yeah, that way.
All right.
Okay, let me see if I can find this here. Just a second. Is this going to show up? We tried to do a little slideshow and it wasn't coming together. I don't know. I was doing it the last minute and it wasn't coming together. So anyway, we're still getting used to this. But there you go. You can see our new chairs and you see our eagle back there. You can, I don't know if you can see that little thing there.
We won that eagle.
Yeah, that was an award we got when we were pastoring. And so anyway, but we decided to take this little corner of my studio, my polymer clay, 3D print, whatever, my art studio, I guess you could call it. Art studio, office, whatever you want to call this room. We decided to take one little corner of it and turn it into a broadcast studio. Got some new chairs and some curtains. Got a pretty new curtain rod up there, which you can't see in our live shot. We got one of Tamara's pretty diamond paintings that she's done. Tamara's our daughter, in case you don't know. And set this all up, and we're really liking it. So hope you like it too.
So you don't want to take it back and go back outside to do a live, or maybe somewhere else?
No. Now we still need to contact the people about this chair. We had a little bit of a problem with the wing, one of the wings on it. It didn't want to slip into place like it was supposed to. But anyway.
Even with the rubber mallet.
Yeah, mallet, not ballot.
Not ballot.
He said that last night, and it sounded like he was saying ballot.
It bounced.
Okay, whatever.
Moving
on. Yes, moving on. Okay, let me see. Okay. Well, obviously, we haven't been here for a couple of weeks. And there's a few reasons for that. One was getting this studio all set up, and we had it all set last week, and then we had technical difficulties. And I hope everything's coming through okay tonight. It looks like on our screen here that's showing us our microphone volume and all of that, it looks like it's okay. But last week we did a little test ahead of time and it wasn't okay. And so hopefully it is tonight. We didn't figure out what had happened to it, but we did find find a setting to adjust and fix it so that it was better. Anyway, So, well, now what are you doing?
Oh, okay. There you go. Sorry.
He thought he.
We got
never
the right.
mind.
We got the right picture on there.
Oh, y'all, this is crazy. So anyway,
Isn't this fun?
Well, sometimes. Anyway, if you're here live, go ahead and hop in the chat and say hello. Tell us where you're watching from.
And don't forget to click like right down here. Hit the like button. Hit the notification bell, not bell. And that way you'll...
He has a problem with his words.
Who?
You.
And then that way you will be notified when we go live again. And then share this with somebody who maybe isn't on tonight, but you think maybe they are a little too busy being busy lately. Maybe this will help them out.
Might. Never know.
And
so, and
you are a coach.
I am a coach.
Okay.
I am a life coach, and I am an ADHD coach, and that's the name Inspired Shepherd. That is the name of my coaching practice. Mm-hmm. And Mark helps me a little bit with that. He keeps the books for me, kind of, sort of.
I try.
and whenever I need a spreadsheet or something like that, he fixes it up for me and tries to keep things up to date. And,
I try.
Yeah, he tries. Okay, well, anyway, we better get going. But sorry, we were a little bit late, getting on because again, we were having technical difficulties. I don't know. We could use at least one other person to help us with all of this mess because we have to run the camera, we have to run all the different slideshows and stuff like that whenever we decide to do one. And tonight I couldn't get it set up right. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but I ran out of time. So
we need to get Chico in here.
Why?
To help.
I don't think Chico would help. He'd probably knock things over. And then we'd have a real crisis on our hands. So, anyway. Okay, so if you're new here, we've been exploring some biblical folks who maybe, just maybe, showed a little neurospicy behavior.
What is that?
Neurospicy?
Sounds like Mexican food.
What is it? Mexican food for the brain? Whatever. Anyway. Neurospicy is a word that somebody came up with to describe people mostly with ADHD. But it can apply to anybody with neurodivergent behavior, which includes things like ADHD and autism and I'm trying to think what else. Dyslexia, I think, is included in that. I don't know. There's different ones. So anyway, we do want you to know that we are not diagnosing here. We can't do that. We don't do that. As a coach, I cannot diagnose, but what I can do is connect the dots. And sometimes I will connect the dots and discuss it with my client and ask if they've ever gotten an assessment, because I see tendencies towards neurodivergence, neurospicy behavior. So that's what we're doing here with this series. Mm-hmm. We're just connecting some dots that we see in Scripture. And sometimes it gets kind of personal.
Now, last time
we talked 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. We talked about Esau. Today, we think a couple of things have changed. We were in the New Testament on our first live in this series, and we were talking about Peter. And since then, we've been in the Old Testament, but tonight we're going back to the New Testament. And the second thing is, for the first time, we are discussing a female out of the Bible. We're going to talk about someone who gets a little bit of a bad rap, and that is Martha. Martha.
Should be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
She lived in Bethany with her sister Mary and her brother Lazarus. So the key scriptures that we'll be talking about tonight come from John 11, where Jesus comes to visit after hearing of Lazarus' death. And then Luke 10:32 and John 12 has to do with the visit of Jesus to their house for dinner.
So let's set the stage. Now, you probably remember these people from the story where Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. But today we're taking a look at a different moment. We're taking a look at that time when Jesus comes to their house and Martha gets caught up serving while Mary sits at Jesus' feet. Now that's in Luke 10, and then we see Martha again in John 11 when Lazarus dies. She's a really fascinating character, often painted as the busy one, but I think there's so much more to her than just being worried or distracted.
Okay, so we've talked about, or we're going to talk about several traits that might indicate Martha having ADHD. So we're going to look at some scripture here, and I just bumped the mic, sorry. Luke 10:38-42. Now as they went on their way, he entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She had a sister named Mary who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. So she came to him, Jesus, and asked, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me." But the Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." So, Jesus visits the home of Martha and Mary. While Mary sits at Jesus' feet, Martha is being distracted by all of the preparations that has to be made. So she becomes frustrated that Mary isn't helping and appeals to Jesus to intervene.
Sound familiar? Ever been so busy doing for Jesus that you forgot to sit with him? And as we have done in the past, we have an expert quote. If I can get it to come up here, if I can find where oh, it's fun here trying to find where my mouse is. Okay, here we go. And this is from Dr. Edward Hallowell, also known as Ned Hallowell. He says, "Hyperfocus can be both a superpower and a stumbling block for people with ADHD. The intense focus on one task can make it hard to shift attention or see the bigger picture."
Martha's dedication to hospitality is admirable, but her tunnel vision on the task list kept her from experiencing the very presence of Jesus. This type of hyperfocus is common in ADHD. It's not about laziness or avoidance, but about becoming so absorbed in a perceived obligation that everything else falls away. For Martha, the importance of fulfilling her cultural and personal standards of service blocked her ability to connect relationally in the moment.
Many ADHDers wrestle with the tension between a sense of duty and a desire for connection. Martha's reaction, irritation that Mary isn't helping, can mirror the inner frustration of someone who is deeply overwhelmed but unsure how to regulate their own emotional response. Instead of asking for support earlier, she reaches a breaking point and complains to Jesus. Now, this moment reflects both the beauty and the burden of task-based hyperfocus. It shows how executive function challenges can masquerade as responsibility, but actually isolate us from what matters most. Jesus' response is gentle and direct, calling her back to the one thing needed, presence over performance. So Mary was sitting at Jesus' feet.
Mm-hmm.
She was there. She was present. While Martha was busy doing all these other things. But in her mind, she was being devoted to Jesus. She was doing what she thought needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So,
here's something to think about. When have I been so focused, or when have you been so focused on doing everything right that I missed the deeper connection being offered to me or offered to you?
Yeah. Have you ever found yourself in that situation where you're so focused on doing everything right that you miss the deeper connection? So, okay, let me see here.
Okay, the next thing that we'll talk about is emotional intensity and rejection sensitivity. The scripture is Luke 10, verse 40, which says, "But Martha was distracted by her many tasks, so she came to him and asked, 'Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me.'" So Martha goes to Jesus. She doesn't go to Mary. She goes directly to Jesus and say, I need help. Tell her to help me.
Let's see. I think I missed one here. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Okay.
And back to our expert quote there. This one is from Dr. William Dodson, and he is the one that coined the term rejection-sensitive dysphoria. There are some experts that disagree with him on what that is and the use of that terminology, but it's become pretty common in the ADHD community. So, rejection-sensitive dysphoria, he says, is a common and intense emotional reaction to the perception of being rejected, criticized, or left out. I remember when I was in junior high and, known as middle school these days.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah, maybe a little longer than that. And I had made friends with a girl. We were fairly new in town. And I had made friends with this girl, and I was in 7th grade. We were. And we did a lot of stuff together. Well, then, actually, that was in 6th grade. In 7th grade, there was a new family that moved to town. This new family, he was actually a teacher. And he had a daughter that was the same age as us. And my friend became good friends with her. But I never really hit it off with that new girl. There. Okay. I never really hit it off with her. And so I just, but I felt like I was being left out. And I guess at that point, not having any clue, because I was just diagnosed a few years ago, and not having any clue about ADHD, or we didn't even know about ADHD back then, and not having any clue about it or anything about rejection sensitive dysphoria, I didn't know why I was reacting the way I was, but I was upset. So I was being left out because they would do stuff and didn't include me. And I think that may be a little bit of how Martha must have felt. She was upset and feeling left out.
I can think of a time or two that I felt the same way. So Martha's question, "Don't you care?" reveals a sudden shift from quiet frustration to full-blown emotional outburst. The intensity of her feelings might seem disproportionate to the situation, but for someone with ADHD, especially those with RSD, it's all too familiar. Martha likely felt abandoned, unseen, and unfairly burdened, and those feelings erupted in a plea that reads as both defensive and accusatory.
It's telling that she doesn't go to Mary directly. Instead, she triangulates Jesus into the situation. We have a tendency to do that sort of thing. And perhaps she was assuming that he would validate her hurt. This pattern, jumping to conclusions, reacting emotionally, seeking external affirmation, is deeply relatable for ADHDers who've learned to expect disappointment or rejection even before it happens.
Rather than condemning Martha, Jesus responds with compassion and calm. His tone, Martha, Martha, is not scolding but soothing. It's an invitation to regulation, to shift from emotional overwhelm to centered stillness. This speaks volume about how Jesus meets us in the height of emotional dysregulation with grounded presence rather than judgment.
So we have another reflection question for you, and I'm going to put these down in the comments after we're done tonight. Think about this. Where do I notice myself jumping to conclusions or feeling left out before I have all the facts?
We're going to run over here. Let's keep going. There we go.
Well, we started late,
Yeah,
because
we did.
we
So we're okay.
So I'm okay. I can't find myself again.
Where's Betty? Where's Waldo? Where's Betty? Okay, here we go. Trait 3, urgency over presence. Our scripture, Luke 10:41 and 42, that says, "But the Lord answered her, Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." So Martha, Martha, the Lord answered. You're worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, and indeed just one thing, and that is sitting in the presence of Jesus.
So, do you think that Martha had a to-do list in her apron pocket?
Well, maybe so.
It probably was really long too.
I've got a to-do list right here.
You got a to-do list? I've got a to-do list. Yeah.
Yours is kind of long.
Yeah, it can get long.
Mm-hmm.
That's because I break it down into smaller tasks,
Oh,
because that makes it easier.
okay.
It does. She might have had a to-do list that was a mile long. Okay. Moving on, because we're running out of time here. Whoops. So, our expert quote for this trait of urgency over presence comes from Dr. Russell Barkley, and he is probably the foremost expert on ADHD. He has made it his life's work to study it. He had a twin brother that had ADHD, and I don't know exactly what happened, but there was a car accident that he was involved in, and he lost his life. And so Dr. Barkley has taken it on as almost like a personal thing. And so he's very, very, very knowledgeable. He says, for the ADHD brain, the urgent often replaces the important. Everything feels like it must be done now, and that can drown out what truly matters. Jesus' words capture a classic ADHD experience, being mentally cluttered and pulled in too many directions at once. Martha wasn't just doing a lot. She was worried and upset about many things. Her inner world was buzzing with pressure, likely accompanied by a sense that everything was urgent. But not everything was important. And Jesus gently pointed her back to what was. Now, this trait often shows up in ADHD as a heightened sense of time pressure or task overwhelm, where everything feels critical, and I can attest to that. For Martha, the meal prep probably felt mission critical, not but Jesus was reminding her that her presence, not productivity, was the most essential offering.
Learning to prioritize is a real challenge when the ADHD brain is ruled by urgency. Martha's story gives hope, though, even when we miss the moment, we're invited back into it. Her correction wasn't a rejection, it was an invitation to pause, to breathe, and to choose connection. So our reflection question now is, what urgent tasks are pulling me away from the truly important moments in my life right now? Something to think about. Let's go to trait number 4, a strong sense of justice and fairness. The scripture, Luke 10:40. And I read that a while ago, but it's when Martha goes to the Lord and say, "Do you not care that Mary has left me to do all the work? Tell her then to help me."
This wasn't exactly a casserole crisis.
Or I thought, like,
This was Martha in meltdown mode. Let's see. Let's go back to our expert quote for this trait. And this comes from Dr. Sharon Saline. And she says, people with ADHD often have an exaggerated sense of justice, especially when they feel things aren't fair. Martha was feeling that it wasn't fair that Mary was getting to sit at Jesus' feet while she was busy with other things. And so her protest isn't just about, I'm multitasking here, people. So her protest isn't just about being overwhelmed. It's about fairness. She's working hard while Mary sits and listens. That imbalance grates on her, and she demands correction. This moment shows how ADHDers often have a heightened sensitivity to inequality or injustice, especially when they feel others aren't contributing equally.
The struggle here is often one of perception. Martha assumes Mary is doing nothing, when in fact she is deeply present with Jesus. Martha interprets this as neglectful rather than meaningful. The snap judgment here is another ADHD hallmark: quick reactions before full context is processed. Like speak without thinking beforehand, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
There's a quote like that.
Yeah. Lots of people speak before their brain is engaged. And that's especially true of those of us with ADHD. We have a tendency to do that. So Martha's desire for fairness isn't wrong. It just wasn't grounded in relational understanding. Her ADHD lens may have amplified the inequality she felt, pushing her to speak out. Yet Jesus reminds her that Mary has chosen wisely, showing Martha and us that fairness isn't always about equal tasks, but about rightly ordering what matters.
So let's reflect on this question. How often do I assume things are unfair without understanding the full story? All right, let's move on to trait number 5. Verbal processing and blurted communication.
Oops, there we go.
Scripture this time is from John chapter 11, verse 21. And I'll just read
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go ahead. Something happened to our PowerPoint slide here, so...
Okay. But this talks about when Jesus arrives after Lazarus' death. Martha goes out to meet him on the road, and she immediately says, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died."
Okay, well, there it is.
Okay.
Somehow...
Yeah.
He's the one that does the PowerPoint. Had to do that. Okay. All right, and our expert quote this time comes from Dr. Ari Tuckman, and I have learned more about all of these different experts in all my my classes and stuff on ADHD. Did I say a while ago that I'm an ADHD coach? I'm a life coach and an ADHD coach.
You do both.
In the midst of certification, I'm a certified life coach. Working on another certification for that I need to get my application in, actually.
And then there's another certification
and
for
then,
ADHD.
Yes, and I'm
that
waiting.
side of it.
I'm waiting for results on that one. So anyway, that's just a little aside there. But Dr. Tuckman says people with ADHD may speak impulsively, not to be rude, but because their brains are processing aloud. I have a tendency to do that. I am a verbal processor. And when something's bothering me, it helps if I can talk it out with somebody. So Martha's words in John 11 are raw, immediate, and unfiltered. Her statement isn't polite grief. It's honest, bordering on accusatory. But it's also deeply human. She doesn't suppress her feelings or tidy them up for Jesus. She blurts them out in the moment, which may reflect the verbal processing that is common in ADHD.
Many with ADHD process emotions by speaking them. They don't always have the filter in place to evaluate, should I say this now? Martha shows that this kind of direct expression. Her heart and her mouth are deeply connected, and she speaks her truth even when it's messy.
But here's the powerful part. Jesus meets her in that moment too. He doesn't chastise her for speaking out of turn. He lets her process. Then he draws her into one of the deepest theological conversations in Scripture, where he tells her, I am the resurrection and the life. Martha's messy, honest words open the door to revelation. What a gift.
So when have I blurted out something that felt impulsive, but actually it opened the door to a deeper truth?
Yeah. So that's Martha. Distracted, devoted, not one-dimensional, maybe a little neurospicy, definitely loved. So...
Yeah, next week, what are we going to do next week? We're still trying to decide, but...
We've got a few still to look at. We haven't decided for sure which ones we're going to do.
Or there may be a surprise in there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We might talk about Samson.
Okay.
Or we might talk about King Saul. Or it could be someone we're not expecting. And we're not really sure when we're going to wrap up this series.
Yeah, let us know in the chat.
We've got a few yet. And you might be wondering if we think that everybody in the Bible had ADHD.
Well,
no, that's not the case.
Probably more than you would think.
Yeah, but it's
kind of like ADHD itself.
You think? Kind of surprising. You never know what you're going to get.
Right. That's true.
But either way, we'll be here. And in the meantime, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell, and share this with someone who's feeling pulled in a dozen directions.
And if you would like to maybe work with Betty on coaching.
If life is kind of getting to you, and whether you have ADHD or not, if life is getting to you and you feel like you could use some help, give me a call or check my website. And I believe that's in the... I'm not sure what happened here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, anyway, we're running out of battery.
You're not alone, though. We're
So-
here to help.
That's right. We're here to help. And
So-
I've helped quite a few people.
Yes, you
and
have.
sometimes it's in decision making. Sometimes it's with an issue that they've got going in their life that they just need some help on. Sometimes it's because they're stuck, you know. So if you feel any of that, anything that's kind of holding you back in your life, feel free to give me a holler. And the link to the website is down in the description, and you can go there and contact me that way.
InspiredShepherd.com.
InspiredShepherd.com. That's right.
Okay, so
And just keep in mind, that website is a work in progress. So, anyway,
all right.
okay.
So we'll see you next Monday.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. And
All right.
bye for
Bye
now.
for now.